Hey guys, this is Tara Devlin, and this is Devlin versus the News. Let's get into it. Today's story that I wanted to highlight is this guy, Utah State Senate President Stuart Adams, and his Republican collaborators, I guess, because it's another case in point that Republicans, for all their grandstanding about protecting the children that we have to endure, they wouldn't pull a hair for a child, much less anybody else, especially when one of their own is facing serious charges for harming a child. So what happened was, after learning that his 18-year-old relative was charged with serious felonies for sex with 13-year-old, Utah State Senate President Stuart Adams helped craft a new law. What happened was, Adams' 18-year-old step-grandchild, a high school student, was charged with 2 counts of rape of a child and 2 counts of sodomy on a child, both first-degree felonies. This new law changes how high schoolers can be prosecuted, making it possible for prosecutors to treat 18-year-olds still enrolled in high school as minors. To put this in perspective, an 18-year-old high schooler in Utah can vote, buy an assault weapon, can serve on juries, can sign contracts, and even go to war. Yet, when it comes to sexually assaulting a 13-year-old, Republicans concocted a law to turn these legal adults into minors. If that doesn't say the Republican Party is the party that protects pedophiles, I don't know what does. On top of them protecting their standard bearer from the consequences of being all over the Epstein files. The age of consent is 18 in Utah, and there are already exceptions when those involved are close in age. For example, a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old. However, anyone under the age of 14 is legally considered not capable of giving consent. So having sex with a 13-year-old, regardless of the circumstances, is by definition statutory rape. Although, if one's relative is a Republican state senator, count yourself lucky when they start rewriting the laws for you. Of course, Republicans never moved this fast to address staggering rates of childhood poverty, hunger, or the needless death that their policies cause. But instead, in Utah, as it is across the nation, families and children are getting their lifelines cut, and it's gonna get worse now thanks to the big, ugly bill. We live in a nation with staggering rates of childhood poverty, childhood hunger. It's a goddamn disgrace. Once again, we see, to Republicans, children are a prop. They're a piece of political theater deployed in fundraising emails and as an excuse to bash trans people or lecture about personal responsibility as they're cutting lifelines. But when actual protection is needed, especially from one of their own, Republicans are shameless about their corruption. I mean, this is the age of Trump. This is who they are. To Republicans, there is no reason to get into government service other than to use the power of one's office to benefit you and yours at the expense of everyone else. Certainly, they're not there to promote the general welfare. Know them by their fruits. Everything they do, they make it worse. Utah Democrats, in the minority, are demanding that Adams resign, pointing out this undeniable abuse of power and the alarming precedent it sets. But this is Trump's GOP. They learn their tactics well from their convicted felon standard bearer. The party of personal responsibility never takes responsibility for their crimes, much less anything else. Of course, this guy using the playbook is dismissing any criticism of this blatant corruption as they're playing politics. Well, what the hell else are they supposed to play? You're goddamn politicians, but okay. And he's saying that it's political grandstanding fueled by misinformation and deliberate distortions. Of course, as always, they never set us straight. Well, what are those political distortions? What misinformation do we have here? But that's up to your imagination, because they got nothing. They're cunning little rogues. Adams and his Republican collaborators crafted the law to give themselves political cover. They said that, well, it's not retroactive, so technically it wouldn't help this guy's relatives. But the prosecutor and the judge and the defense attorney openly acknowledged that the law is what drove them to offer a lenient plea deal. Instead of facing charges that could have carried decades in prison and mandating him to be a registered sex offender, Adams' relative pleaded out to aggravated assault and a handful of misdemeanors. But the 13-year-old victim was not a consideration. In fact, her trauma, her rights, her future, or her well-being was never part of the debate at all. In true Republican fashion, what was best for the child was swept under the rug faster than you can say family values. The 13-year-old's mother was blindsided by this. Was she consulted? No. There you go again, Republicans, showing us who you are. Her mother said that it was out of nowhere. I felt like I was punched in the gut. I feel like a law is the law, regardless of who you are. If only, ma'am, if only. Not when Republicans are in charge. Stop voting Republican. Utah and everywhere else, for a party that never, ever misses the opportunity to scream about groomers and child protection. Another display of self-dealing hypocrisy that couldn't be more obvious if they put it on a billboard. It's always the same with Republicans. With this case, as with covering up Trump's place all over the Epstein files, the protection of the Republican power structure comes before everything, including the protection of children, every single time. It's part of a long tradition where Republicans never blink when the damage is done by one of their own. Whether it's political donors, elected officials, family, friends, or themselves, the old adage holds true. It's only a crime if a Democrat does it. Guys, thank you for listening. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Watch The Tara Show every Tuesday and Thursday right here on the Political Voices Network with myself and Tara Dublin. And my show, Tara Buster, Friday nights right here on the Political Voices Substack and the Tara Buster YouTube channel. We're on the right side of history, decency, dignity, democracy, humanity. We stick together, we win. My name is Tara Devlin, and I will see you soon.